Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray, and I am going to do a painting out of the Bird Workbook. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I created this Bird Workbook that has outlines pre-printed on watercolor paper with step-by-step direction. You can buy the video separately if you're interested. And then we include this outline section so you guys can recreate these projects as many times as you want. And also, I love doing that for you because you can then approach painting the projects differently than how I taught you in the book. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. Okay?
Excellent.
So what I have here is and of course I chose the hummingbird, you guys. You guys know me. Hummingbirds are my jam. I love them so much. So I took the hummingbird outline, I transferred it onto Arch's watercolor paper. The paper in the watercolor workbook is our Let's Make Art paper, which is kind of more like cellulose paper, which works great with liquid watercolors. Not as great with like tube watercolors. So because I also like to use tube watercolors, I also like to use 100% cotton paper. We're going to switch it over to those supplies, and we're just going to go, okay? So kind of how I painted this in the Bird Workbook is I kind of focus, there's a lot of saturation here, but I focused on making it feel a little bit more realistic and dimensional. And I wanted to paint this same outline, but approach it with a little bit more fluidity, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I have my Dandelion palette here with all of my favorite Daniel Smith colors, but please use whatever supplies you want. That's why we gave you those outlines at the back. So you can literally do this as many times as you want using whatever supplies you like to use. Let's do our oath. If you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
I promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
Thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to approach this project a little bit more loosely. I do have a Micron pen handy just in case I feel like inking it later. I haven't decided if that's something that I want to do. And without overthinking it, I'm just going to really let myself play. So I'm going to start with, I haven't painted this before. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but we're just going to trust the process. So I'm going to take some water, and I'm going to go outside of the outline here and really push this water out. And then I'm going to take some Phthalo blue and some Q gold. And I'm going to mix that together. And the reason why I'm not using undersea green is because undersea green is more of a desaturated green. And I want this to be a little bit more vibrant. Okay, so I'm just kind of letting the colors blend out here. Let's actually add a tiny bit of the Q gold. Just touching here. Okay. That's it.
Beautiful.
And you can even take some of this and let's just kind of smear it around. Let's just so you see how I'm just kind of being rough, just letting things bleed and move around. Then I'm going to just kind of continue that water and pull that color down to the wing. And while it's wet, we can just drop in swoops of whatever color you want. And this is the fun thing about this style is you guys can really use whatever you're thinking. And I just had this idea where maybe what I'll do is I'll lighten this. So it's just a lighter value, and then I'll go back in and darken the edge of the head. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, cool. All right, now let's do the neck. So I'm just going to loosely kind of paint that. I'm going to use Q purple, which is such a great color.
This is only going to connect with 3 of you out in Llama Land right now, but this, at this point, looks like the cover of a Jeff Vandermeer book.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The one who wrote Annihilation?
Yes.
Okay, yes. I see that.
Yeah.
That connects with me.
Yeah, well, you're one of the 3. The rest of the 2 of you, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Okay, so I dropped in some Q coral. I have some Q purple.
Some what?
Coral.
Coral. Where's your mother, Coral?
Coral. Where's your mother? It's not a funny part in the show. It's monstrous that we laugh at it, but it's How do you not think of that saying? Okay. And then let's just pull that color down here. Maybe a touch of blue. Okay.
Have you ever seen a hummingbird egg?
Yes.
Oh, they're teeny tiny.
They're so cute. And I'm just going to do just a few rough right underneath on the belly. And this is what I mean. Like, you guys can paint loosely, playfully. I'm going to go outside of the outlines for these tail feathers and kind of have it go this way. And the reason for that is I'm thinking about the overall composition of this painting. So I have a lot of action going to the right. I don't have a lot of action going to the left. So trying to balance it out, I need to activate the left-hand side, the left sides, the left-hand side a little bit more, okay? And I'm going to take phthalo. I'm going to mix it with, let's mix it with some indigo. Get a darker blue. And I'm just going to kind of outline that. And then let's like let this smear out. It didn't smear out quite as much as I wanted, but that's okay because we can just smear it out ourselves. And let's add some splatters. And I love splattering in while things are wet too, because look at how cool that is.
Super cool.
Super cool. Let's also do that along the top. And I really want my purple to be a bit more vibrant. So I'm just going to do another layer while it's wet right underneath here. Oh yeah, that's so pretty. And let's actually drop in some cute coral as well. And let's do some splatters. Okay. Now, what I really, a style that I really love to paint in that can be loose like this is when you are loose, you're doing splatters, you're doing washes, you're letting things bleed, and then we do a few elements really precise, really detailed, like the beak and the eyeball, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna let these elements dry before I go ahead and paint those because I don't want any bleeding on those. But just so you know, that's gonna be my intention. Let's paint the branch really quick. So I'm just going to take some burnt orange and some black. And I'm just going to loosely paint this in. I really love a good dry brush texture for the wood. So if I let that texture kind of be at the top, then it's going to feel like a highlight. And then while it's wet, we can just go along the bottom, do a darker value along the bottom. So it's like a shadow. Because the branch is three-dimensional, it's round, so the bottom of it is turning away from us to go to the other side. The top of it is also turning away from us, but the light is hitting it, which is why it's a lighter value, okay? That's how you make it feel round. And I feel like there should be flowers here.
You know, all thinking it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I could feel it.
Yeah.
Do you know those flowers that are like tulip shaped?
Tulips.
Nope, not
close?
tulip, like trumpet shaped.
Daffodil.
Nope. I don't know the name of them. You're going to say it. I'm not going to know.
What color are they?
I don't know. They're like pink and they like hang down. The kind of flowers that hummingbirds like to eat from that have that long skinny thing because then their beaks fit into.
I'm looking it up.
Okay, perfect.
Shaped flower that hummingbirds eat from.
Like that.
Trumpet vine.
Trumpet vine.
Honeysuckle, coral bells, bee balm, and cardinal flowers.
Yeah.
But trumpet vine, we actually have those around our house. They're orange.
Oh, I should have done orange.
You know what I'm talking about? Those orangey.
Yes.
Yeah. They're kind of like, they remind me of parasites. They grow all over the tree, those trumpet vines.
Oh, great. So let's just do a few of those. And
Parasite. I get it, buddy. Me too.
I'm going to do them in a couple different colors.
It's my 2025 vibes.
What is?
Parasite.
Parasite?
Yeah.
Great. What a goal.
What a great noble.
And notice like they can be loose like this because the rest of the bird is also loose like this, okay? Some can be a little bit darker, like the edges here can be a little bit darker. And I'm just doing them in 3 strokes. So you just go along the edge, you do the middle, and then you do the other side. Really celebrating this kind of curve bell shape. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in general, a hummingbird's beak is a co-evolutionary advantage that they develop with certain flowers in the area. You can look at some, like South American hummingbirds, have like a huge long beak. And then you can look at their food. The flowers also huge deep. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes, I do know what
Yeah.
you're saying. That's super cool. This is why I like having you around. You're so...
Handsome.
That's right.
No one knows because I'm behind the camera.
No one will ever know.
You ever seen Brad Pitt in his prime? It's like that. I
That's
just
what
want you guys
Michael
to
looks...
imagine that that's what I look
Have you
like.
seen Brad Pitt and Meet Joe Black? Because that's what Michael looks like.
Uh-huh. And Troy. Meet Joe Black and Troy.
Combined. Okay.
That was a beautiful man. Let's take a moment.
Can we take a moment?
Brad Pitt in his prime. Come on.
Beautiful.
Unbeatable. All right.
Michael
Right.
has a crush on Brad Pitt.
In his prime.
In his prime.
Calm down.
Okay. So we have our flowers here, which are super fun, and they also activate the left-hand side, which is something I wanted to do. So compositionally, if we're talking about the composition, this is leading our eye in multiple different ways. One, the edges are activated here, here, and here, which is great for our eye to lead through. The nice thing too is that this beak is actually pointing up at an angle. And then this angle is also happening with the main subject. So we have 2 different angles going on, which makes us want to stay within the painting, kind of bouncing back and forth. Okay? So let's paint our beak. I grabbed like a dark blue, and I'm going to try and do it in just a single stroke. Like that. And then I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm just going to do the top part, but their beaks are long and skinny, so I don't want to make it too thick. It's just kind of acknowledging the top part.
I don't know if y'all at home have hummingbird feeders, but these little guys get violent too. They like fly full speed and try to poke each other with their beaks. They're mean.
Do they really?
Oh, yeah. They're very territorial.
Well, calm down, little fella.
I mean, if you had a sword on your face, you'd poke people with it.
I totally would. Okay, and then this is where we can be kind of playful with details if we want to do details. So let's switch back. I'm going to grab some Q gold with a tiny bit of phthalo. So it's like a green, but a really warm green. And I'm just going to kind of define the top of the head on my hummingbird a little bit.
Give him a mohawk.
And then I'm going to blend that out so it doesn't feel too much like a mohawk.
Looks like a toupee.
Thank you. Who doesn't want their hummingbird to look like they have a toupee?
The cutest toupee I've ever seen. How about that? Brad Pitt in its prime. Brad
Pitt in its prime. That's this bird. And then if you want to kind of shape some of these little tail feathers along the edge, you can. And I actually really like this kind of dry brush texture on the beak of this bird. So I'm not going to do much more with that beak. I kind of really like how that turned out. I'm going to do one more kind of dry brush go across the bottom of my branch here. So using a dark brown. Just going to add an extra shadow here. And be playful. Like what happens if we were to have a little thing come up? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't like it.
Don't be that playful.
Don't be that playful. Let's see if I can lift it. Sometimes you can lift things right out, especially if you have like a magic eraser could lift that little thing. But it's so light that I'm fine with that amount of lift. And just so you guys know, I do things like that all the time where I'm like, let's try this. And I do it and I would go, no. And I just lift it out. It's not a big deal. Okay, maybe a little bit more of this. Boo. Okay, and then I want to do, let's do like a hint of that yellow center coming out of the flowers. So I'm going to take my liner brush. I don't know if these flowers actually exist. They just feel right. So I'm making them like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that reminds me. My buddy Eric that I went to college with, we were biologists together in college, loves birds. And Sarah came out with this book, and Eric texted me. He's like, "Oh, is that an Anna's hummingbird?" And I'm like, "Let me ask Sarah." And she's like, I made it up."
I take creative license with things a lot because it's just like, I saw this reference. I loved the squattiness of this hummingbird, but the coloring I didn't like because it was just brown and I like my birds to be colorful. So I took the coloring of a different hummingbird and put it on this one. So, and I do things like that all of the time. But if you can't do fun things like that, then like, come on.
Yeah.
That's the point of being an artist. You get to create these worlds that you want. Okay. The last thing that we're going to do is we are going to put in the eye. So I'm going to grab my round 2. I'm going to make sure that around my eyeball is dry. I'm going to take some lamp black, maybe a tiny bit of indigo or blue mixed in there.
It'd be funny to just pop a googly eye on this painting.
That would be so funny. And I'm being quiet because I'm focusing. So I usually like to leave a little bit of a white glare along the top and the bottom. You do not want the glare to be too big because that will make it look like your eye is doing this, the bird's eye.
Look at the camera and do it. Give him those crazy eyes. Oh, yeah. Perfect. All right. I'll zoom in on that.
Okay. So you got to thin it out. Or another thing that you can do after it dries is just soften how bright the white is. So you can just take a damp brush and even just smear the paint that's around it, just one swoop. And that will soften that highlight and make it look a little bit more realistic if you want. But the fun thing, again, about this painting is we're just like having fun. Okay. And then I feel like I need a little bit of this purple splatter over here. And maybe like smear it around a bit. You know, why not?
And that's it. Bird Pit is done.
Bird
Pit.
Bird Pit.
In his prime.
Okay. And I don't think I want to add the pen. I think I like how it feels very loose. And line work, okay, this is a little tip for you guys. Outlining things are an excellent way to sharpen up the form if you don't want to do all of the hard work of fleshing out like the values and all of that kind of stuff. So sometimes if a painting feels very unfinished to you and you can't quite tell what's happening or it just doesn't feel finished, then taking a micron pen and doing a quick outline, like following the outline that we use, is a really like useful way to form it up really quick. And then all of a sudden that painting that didn't feel finished, it looks finished. So ink and wash is an excellent tool and technique. But for me, I think I kind of like that the whole thing feels like you can't necessarily grab it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so for that reason, if I were to go along and paint and outline this whole thing using a pen, it would lose that quality. And I feel like it feels finished enough that I don't think it needs to have the outline. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So I'm not going to do that.
All right.
That's it.
All right.
That is our painting. So I just want to invite you, for those who have this Bird Workbook, really play with these outlines. Sometimes we see an outline and we think, oh no, I have to do exactly within this outline and make it as realistic as possible. No, an outline gives you so much freedom. You can focus on color. You can focus on value. You can focus on different techniques and styles. You can approach things in a way that you've never need to think about like, because the composition is already done for you, that's half of the work. Now you guys can just play with it. And you can utilize them to really build up your technical skill and your ability and practice things that you maybe wouldn't practice otherwise. So if you don't have this bird workbook yet, you can find it at letsmakeart.com. Or you can just like sketch this and play. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for joining me. I hope it's helpful for you to see that you can be playful and kind of quick with your painting, and you can try things that you maybe wouldn't normally try, and it's still valid art. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.